In this next video, we will take a look at some examples and see how to complete the square algebraically. We'll summarize the steps by looking at the polynomial that we looked at in the first video, x squared plus 4x plus 20. Now the whole process looks like this. First thing we do is we group the x squared and x terms together to kind of keep them separate from the constant term. We're going to prepare to complete the square by opening that empty space within the parentheses. That's the first question mark. And then opening a corresponding space outside the parentheses. Now, when we add, in this case, it's going to be 4 inside the parentheses, we need to remove it from the 20 so that we keep the expression balanced and equal to its original value. We complete the square, putting that 4 both inside the parentheses, adding it, and outside the parentheses as a subtraction. Next, we factor what's inside the parentheses, that's the x squared plus 4x plus 4, to x squared plus 2. And finally, we just simplify the 20 minus 4, and we get x plus 2 squared plus 16, and that's our result. Here's another example. We're going to complete the square on x squared plus 10x plus 15. Step number 1, group the x squared and x terms together. Next, prepare to complete the square by opening that empty space both within the parentheses to add what we need to, and outside the parentheses to subtract. Next, we complete the square. In this case, we take half of 10, which is 5, square it to get 25, and that will give us the 25 inside and outside. Factor what's in the parentheses. In this case, that would be x plus 5 squared, and then simplify the constant term. And x plus 5 squared minus 10 is the result of completing the square on x squared plus 10x plus 15. Let's try one more example. X squared minus 8x minus 10. Again, group the x squared and x terms together. Open a space for completing the square. In this case, negative 8, half of that is negative 4. Squared is 16, so that's what will complete the square. And you'll notice that we put the 16 both inside the parentheses and out to compensate. Factor what's inside the parentheses to x minus 4 squared, and then simplify the constant term. And x minus 4 squared minus 26 is the result of completing the square on x squared minus 8x minus 10. Now I'd like you to try this example. Pause the video, and after you've given it a try, come back and we'll talk through the answer. Okay, so as we did before, we'll group the x squared and x terms, open that space both inside and outside the parentheses, complete the square, adding 36 inside the parentheses, subtracting it on the outside, factor what's inside the parentheses to x plus 6 squared, and then simplify the constant term. Here's another example for you. This one, when you complete the square, the value that completes the square is not an integer, so I'd like you to give this one a try as well. Pause the video, work it through, and then after the pause, I'll show you how it's done. Okay, so here's how it's done. We're going to group the x squared and x terms together. Open that space up, complete the square, and in this case, half of 5 is 5 halves. 5 halves squared is 25 fourths, so that's what completes the square, and we add it inside the parentheses, subtract it outside. Next, we factor what's inside the parentheses to x plus 5 halves squared, and then simplify what is outside the parentheses. And x squared plus 5/2 squared minus 5/4 is the result of completing the square on x squared plus 5x plus 5. I'd like you to try this one. Again, I'll have you stop the video for just a moment and restart it when you're done. Okay, so we'll group the first two terms, leave that open space, complete the square. Half of 9 is 9/2. 9/2 squared is 81/4. Add it inside, subtract it outside. Factor what's inside the parentheses to a perfect square. Simplify the remaining constant term. And there you go. And this is the end of the second video.